There is nothing new under the sun. It was our bishops, deacons, pastors who plotted, took counsel to kill Jesus, just as it was in the day that Matthew chapter 27 spoke of. It was not the soldiers or the police who led Jesus to be condemned. It was the bishops, the deacons, the leaders, the teachers of the church. And when Judas saw what the leaders of the church had done to Jesus, condemning him, he asked the same leaders to forgive him for what he had done, trying to give that money back. And those people told Judas, man, get out of my face. Judas couldn't live with that, so he took the 30 pieces of silver and he threw it away, cast it away from him. He didn't want that money. He walked away from those people and he went out and hung himself, committed suicide. And then the church, the people who gave the money, didn't want the money that Judas left and threw down. So get that out of here. We don't want that. But you are the same people that just condemned an innocent man. Of the church had a meeting. They wanted to get rid of the money that they paid Judas to betray Jesus. So they bought a plot of land and said, we're going to bury strangers here. And they called it the Potter's Field. But God said, oh no, that name will not be as you said. It will be called the Field of Blood. Everything that Jeremiah prophesied concerning this came to pass. Everything that God had planned, knew what man would do, was written, and everything came out just like God. Now, the leaders of the church, who would be in our day, the bishops and the pastor, they led Jesus to the governor's office, and the governor asked, are you the king of the Jews? Jesus answered the governor and said, you said so, but watch what happens next. Then the bishops and pastors started accusing Jesus, and Jesus said absolutely nothing. They were accusing him, and Jesus looked at them and said nothing. And then the governor said, do you hear what these men are saying about you, all these accusations? And Jesus said nothing, and the governor marveled at his silence. Now the feast was going on, and the governor wanted to release one out of two prisoners. And he wanted the people to make their choice. There was a famous prisoner whose name was Barabbas. And the governor knew. And he asked the people, he said, who y'all want me to release, Barabbas or Jesus the Christ, who is called the Christ? And because some of the pastors hated Jesus, he knew that too. He said they envied him. Whew. Whew. I need to send a message to my husband. The governor sat down, and as he was sitting down ready to make a decision, he read a message from his wife, said, don't have anything to do with this innocent man. I'm troubled by this. I can't sleep. But the preachers went to the people and said to them, you should ask for Barabbas. When he asked you which one you want, Jesus or Barabbas. And he asked the people who did they want, and they said, Barabbas. Okay. Let me see what you saying. You want Barabbas, but what am I to do with Jesus? What am I going to do with the one that's called a Christ? You see what we're doing? You get the wood and the hammer and crucify him. Crucify Jesus. From the young to the old. They all said, crucify him. Crucify Jesus. And let Barabbas go free. What is his crime? What is this crime? What crime did he commit? Crucify Jesus, crucify Jesus, crucify Jesus. The whole crowd said, crucify him. The people of God said, this was the church talking. Oh, y'all crazy. Y'all some crazy folk. I'm washing my hand of this. I'm washing my hand. Give me some water.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
The church has handed an innocent man over into the hand of the government, where they arrested him, brought him into a common hall. An innocent man, that is. They called a band of soldiers. Many soldiers came. What a waste of time. They stripped him of his clothes and decided to dress him as a king in a red robe and put a reed in his hand. An innocent man given into the hand of the people for protection by the mouth of the church. They planted thorns and they bowed and said, "Hail, King of the Jews." They put the thorns on his head as a crown. The government spit in his face, hit him upside the head with a reed. They mocked him and stripped him of the red robe. They hit and spit. They spit and hit. The government mocked him. They took the red robe and they put him back on his own clothes. An innocent man. As Jesus was carrying his own cross, the soldiers saw a man from Cyrene of Africa, whose name was Simon, and compelled him to carry the cross. They got to the city of Golgotha, and they offered Jesus a drink, vinegar mixed with gall. Jesus tasted the drink and said, "I don't want it." Just as the prophecy was prophesied, they crucified him. That was prophesied. They parted his garment. That was prophesied. And they cast lots. That also was prophesied. While Jesus was hanging on the cross, they sat and they watched him. All eyes on Jesus. They put a sign over his head reading, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." The Romans did that. On the left side and on the right side were two thieves. The people walked by wagging their heads, speaking insults against the Savior. "Why don't you do for yourself what you said you could do and come down off that cross?" they said.
Chief priests, scribes, and elders, the actors, also made fun or mocked Jesus, saying, "Come on down, come down. You say you the Son of God. You the King of Israel, come down. You say you're the Son of God. Then if you trust him, come down." Even the two thieves on the left and the right of Jesus also said, "Why don't you get down and show your strength and your power?" It was dark in the land from 12 o'clock noon to 3 o'clock. Around about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And some of those who were standing around said, "He's calling for Elijah." Then they gave him a sponge filled with vinegar for something to drink. Then they said, "Let's see whether Elijah is going to help him." Again, Jesus cried again the second time and gave up the ghost. The curtain in the temple was split. And then the earth quaked. All because of the Son of God. The rocks split. The earth took notice. The dead of the bodies of the saints that slept got up. And when Jesus was resurrected, those people in the grave got up and went to the city. And when the soldier and those that were with him saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were very scared. There were women who watched from afar off, the same women who ministered to Jesus before all of this happened. Among them was Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Jose, and the mother of Zebedee's children.
Now, God uses a rich man, and he was also a disciple of Jesus named Joseph.
And he went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. And Pilate said, okay, right. And he took some clean, brand new linen and he wrapped Jesus' body in it and placed him in his tomb. Look at that rich man. Placed him in his own tomb and he rolled the stone away. And he left. Did his job and he left. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sat across from the sepulchre or the grave where Jesus was buried. And the Pharisees and the chief priests went to Pilate. Said, Pilate, we got a request. He said, you remember that deceiver said that he was going to rise again in 3 days. We need you to command that you put some security up there. The disciples might try to come and steal it. And then Pilate said, go! Make it as tight, as secure as you can. The leaders did as Pilate said. They thought it was secure.